Hi everyone, my name is Chen. I'm a postdoc from Professor Kaoumi's group. Professor is attending a project meeting today, so I will present on behalf of him about the research work in our group. As you can see from the title of this presentation, our group are the experimentalist group working with the nuclear materials. We specifically work with iron-based and nickel-based alloys, which are the structure and the cladding materials for nuclear applications. As a material research group, we have specific interest in the microstructure of the material. We look at the grain boundary, grain size, dislocations, precipitation, and segregation. We want to understand how this microstructure that actually influence the macroscopic properties of the materials, such as strength, ductility, corrosion resistance. And we also have specific interest in the influence of irradiation, stress, and the temperature on the microstructure. For example, irradiation can induce the point defects in the materials in the forms of the interstitials and the vacancies. These point defects can diffuse within the materials and result in some formation of dislocations, precipitation, and the segregations. So at the microscopic level, this microstructure change actually induce an increase of the yield strength, which is known as the radiation hardening. So we want to find a relationship between the microstructure change and the influence of the material properties. To achieve that, we tried to use the in situ characterization method. So our group focuses on three different areas. The first area is the radiation effects in the structure and the cladding materials. As we know, for the nurturing radiation, it takes up to several years to reach a high dose. In contrast, if you use ion irradiation, this is a lifetime consuming and a very controllable technique, which it can be used to emulate the nurturing irradiations. So we performed the in situ ion irradiation experiments at the IVEM facility at the Argonne National Lab. This facility houses a transmission electron microscope, which is interfaced with an ion accelerator. So the transmission electron microscope is a very powerful tool for characterizing the microstructure at the atomic level. With the combination of the ion accelerator with the microscope allows us to introduce radiation damage into the material and meanwhile observe the evolution of this damage during the irradiation. This kind of experiments provides the information and the kinetics of the phenomenon that occurs on the irradiation. So here I can show you two examples. In the left, the first example is in situ ion irradiation in pure iron at 300 degrees C. As you can see from these videos, the defects created by the irradiation appeared as the white dots, and the accumulation of these defects actually form some large-size dislocation loops. And some of the loops are further interact with each other, resulting in the correlations of the loops. Here in the right, this is another example. Is the in situ ion irradiation in the iron chromium model alloys. As you can see, the in situ experiments allow us to take the pictures at the same area at the different doses. By comparing of those pictures, we can identify the evolution of the microstructure. Another thing we can show here is, if you see here, within the grains, the defects created by irradiation are homogeneously distributed, but near the ground boundaries, there are some dislocation denuded zone. That's because ground boundaries are considered as the perfect defect sinks, which absorb the defects and creating the denuded zones. And the second area we study in our group is the mechanical behavior of alloys. We perform the in situ X-ray diffraction experiment at the advanced photon source at Argonne National Lab. So this facility provides a high brilliance of X-ray, which can be used to investigate the influence of the stress on the microstructure of the material. As you can see from this illustration, we perform mechanical testing, and meanwhile, the incoming X-ray beam allows us to get the diffraction patterns showing as the rings, and those the collection of the X-ray diffraction data can be treated by a series of very complex steps, and the final result allows us to understand how the lattice parameter, the dislocation density, that evolves as a function of the strand. And the last area we study is the stress cracking of stainless steel. And here at NC State, we designed and built a tensile machine with the stress corrosion chamber. So the sample is put in a humidity environment, and the machine allows us to control the temperature, the humidity, and the load. And combining this tensile machine with the X-ray beamline, we can get the data as the tomography. As you know, the difference between the diffraction and the tomography is more like an image technique, which can give you a 3D visualization of your sample. So, like here, we tested some stainless steel which has been pre-cracked at NC State by fatigue, and the tomography data generate a 3D reconstruction of the shape of the crack. And if you compile the shape of the crack before and after the experiment, we can figure out that the crack finally open up and create some branches of small cracks due to the stress corrosion. So that's all the studies we do in our group. So if you want to learn more about the nuclear materials and the radiation damage, you can register for the following class. You can also send an email to our professor. Thank you for your attention.